I guess there's little we can tell you about him. If you're not, it may be that you remember only the outrageous headlines. His claim that he was bisexual probably topped the Rolling Stones' admission that they took drugs. But it's no good trying to ignore him. His Australian concerts were instant sellouts. His peers in rock music look up to him. And he himself is changing his image. Gone are the way-out stage characters like Ziggy Stardust. In their place is David Bowie, working hard to be recognised as a composer, a real person, and an actor. Before we talk with David Bowie, let's look at a few of the changes. Firstly, a contrast in his musical presentation. Ziggy Stardust, followed by himself. That's David Bowie, the rock singer, and an example of his transition. Let's go now to an example of David Bowie, the actor, with this clip from the soon-to-be-released film Just a Gigolo. And you'll see him here with Kim Novak.
Very good. You've improved.
You're a little better yourself.
I hear you're quite good at your new occupation. By the way, I have a new husband now.
Any general we know?
His name is Antonio Jose Felipe de Robateo.
Is his nose broken?
I beg your pardon.
Doesn't matter. Where did you find him?
Argentina.
So the tango has become your lifestyle.
Who left that smoke in my mouth then? Amazing how that can happen, the little mistakes that people inflict upon you in television. That was David Bowie acting in Just a Gigolo. And we'll be back to talk with David Bowie just a moment. For coming in. It's hard to know where to start with you. You've done a bit over the years, haven't you? I gather you don't see yourself as a rock star.
No, not really, no.
But you've been there.
Very securely there for a couple of years, yeah, in America.
So you know what it's about, whether you regard yourself as that or not. You know what rock stardom is about.
Yeah, I made a sort of a concerted effort to leave a lot of that behind in America and come back and pretend that I'm a real person again.
Is it hard to be a real person when you're a rock star?
No, I keep slipping into hotels all the time. I like to sort of really think that I could go out and get a flat in some little really funky area of a city or something, and I do for a bit, and then I have to go away and do a tour or something. So.
Yeah, because this rock star thing, you once described it, if you were reported accurately, as being a dreadful existence, and yet
yeah.
I think every second 14-year-old in the Western world aspires to it sometime.
Yeah.
Why is
I think that's really unfortunate. It's not an exciting existence at all if you play it like a rock star, I think. I think you can contribute a lot more to rock and roll music by referring to anything but rock and roll in your own lifestyle.
What did you mean when you talked about the possibility of being sucked up by the vortex of the rock and roll circus?
To become an absolute automaton in those circles where you spend your life existing in a hotel generally, or a house in
surrounded by
Bel Air
management
or something like that, and management cocooned, not allowed to sort of express yourself the way you want to express yourself. Or,
yeah.
But it's all very well saying that you're not allowed to do all those things, but the artist falls for it himself. I mean, it's his choice. I mean, I found that there was a way of getting out, and it was just to say, no, I'm going away. And so I went away.
Yeah, because some of your remarks after getting out of the circus seemed more down to earth than others. You talked about not having been on the streets for 3 years.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to book an airline
ticket.
That's
absolutely correct.
So that is
I still can't book an airline ticket. But I go there and try.
Can be a freak.
Then I get somebody else to do it.
You seem to be working hard at being a real person now, whereas at one time in your career you seemed to work just as hard the other way to be a freaky character.
Well, many characters. There are about 5 or 6 that I wrote for myself during the first years that I was working. And I became, here we go, they or I became obsessed with each other, and they were slipping into my personality.
So what was the cost of that to you, to play out that role?
I think I lost a lot of myself, and I came out of it as a vacuum. And
so
I had to fill it up with something, so I came back to Europe and tried to start travelling as much as possible.
So you lost in the mind for a start?
Very much so, yeah.
How about general health?
No, my health has always been pretty good, Doctor. I'll cough.
I didn't look. Tell me about the the cocoon, this apparatus of management.
Yeah.
Tell me about that cocoon when you're inside it.
It starts off where once upon a time I would go and choose my own clothes for, you know, going out in, for instance. This is sort of using a most obvious choice. And then one finds that people want to give you clothes instead when you sort of start going up the so-called ladder of that particular kind of success. And the clothes come to you, and then the management start getting you the clothes instead, so you don't have to go out shopping. So then suddenly you're no longer in shops anymore. You only have an enormous sort of 30 or 40 mile long car, which takes you maybe 10 yards down the road instead of walking. I mean, I'm exaggerating a bit.
No, but I've seen it. Well, we all see it so often with so many people that they don't take telephone calls for a start.
No,
everything's relayed. You transport it everywhere without you making it. I've never thought of it before, but it's almost like being 6 months of age again, isn't it? I mean, a baby
in
has
a sort of a very luxuriant mental hospital, where you're sort of put in a padded room and meals are brought to you. And the only time you're sort of let out on your lead is when you're supposed to go and earn money for just about everybody else except yourself.
How much do you reckon you're pushed also in the mind with things that you say and the sort of publicity they want you to have? And I mean, headlines can come easy to a rock star.
For me, that was always very awkward. It got more and more awkward as I went through progressive characters, because, as I said, the characters started to have an accumulative effect. And I was slipping from one to the other, because what my purpose in the beginning, when I never wanted to actually be a rock and roll star. That was where it all went wrong. This is what went wrong. I just wanted to be a writer and portray the characters that I wrote on stage in some fashion, and rock and roll seemed a wonderful vehicle for doing it. And then I was finding that I had all these half-baked philosophies going from all these different characters were adding to my character, and I started to get very lost about, you know, what exactly I was doing. So that's when I dropped the characters, which was 1976.
I don't want to create a precedent and give you an interview which doesn't mention the bisexual thing.
Yeah.
But I only want to raise it in this context. Headlines do come easy in that situation. Of course, that was your most famous one.
And that was a genuine statement from me. That wasn't a character saying that. Question.
So it wasn't an easy headline for you? It was something you wanted to say?
Yes, it was, you know, I thought it was, I'd been questioned so many times on areas like that, and I got fed up of evading the issue. I thought it would...
Yeah. Which is understandable from your point of view, but did you ever worry about the responsibility that you had with your influence to members of your audience? I mean, would you want any young person's sexuality to be influenced by what their star does?
I can only refer to myself, not being able to talk in terms of, say, 22 or 100,000 people or whatever. I can only refer to myself and my friends. And if I talk honestly with my friends, it seems that we have a better relationship than if I don't talk honestly to my friends. And being a writer, I feel that I can only write about things that I know about.
Sure, but do you understand this matter of potential influence?
I don't know about that. I don't ever remember being that influenced in my lifestyle by any artist at all.
But did you ever go and see an artist and scream and shout and get...
Oh, yes, I went to see Little Richard, but I never became a preacher.
Did you ever throw any diamonds away?
He was my idol. I never threw any diamonds. I'd like to be given some diamonds. I'd be too happy to throw them away.
But this whole mechanism, which is the stardom of the man who gets the top in rock, it is a monster, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's quite demagogic.
Not just for those who go to drugs and the buffers that you talked about, but I suppose those who just fall off the top and can't cope with the difference.
I don't know many. Honestly, I don't know many people in the music area. A lot of the people that I know are artists at different levels in just regular painting or in, I suppose, avant-garde music or something, but I don't know the circus at all.
Your reputation is very sound musically, which I don't need to tell you. You know, you're regarded as, I'm
a musical poseur, actually. I'm very lucky about the accidents that I find in the studio that sound fairly musical.
Well, I wonder whether your posing is more in show business than in music.
Well, by virtue of the characters, I suppose it had to be at one time. But it's, you know, it's really hard. after all these years, crying wolf.
Yeah.
Going through different characters.
Is he now
Ziggy
telling us the
Stardust
truth?
to Aladdin. So yes, absolutely. It's sort of quite a quandary, really.
But you're not just surviving with the music, you are branching into other things, and even this new image, which may be your old image if it's coming back to yourself.
Yeah, I think...
It keeps your pot
I'm just
on
an
the boil.
art school kid at heart, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
This new character, even if it's you just being you, it's just, it's new interest, it's
I
fresh
think
interest.
that, all right, yeah, if there's anything that at all studied about what I'm doing at the moment, say in an interview situation like this, is that I will, to the best of my ability, project my view as far out as possible with whatever I feel is available to me to do that. But I'm projecting on a very sort of real level as far as I'm concerned at this very... I'm trying to think now, am I projecting an image? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm projecting as much as I can
Well, that's
what
right.
I feel about the way I'm living at the moment.
Yeah, it's not a natural situation anyway to talk
Absolutely.
like this, isn't it? All those people and little winking lights just looking. So you've made Just a Gigolo. Is that the new way for David Bowie to go, movies?
I'd like to think that it would possibly lead to directing movies. I think every small boy wants to direct a movie, really. It'd be great, you know, putting everybody in, working out the interrelationship between this section of it and that section. But I'd like to do a few films as an actor to gain more experience, of course. More about the hardware and technology of it all, I think.
Yeah. So you'd be relying on your intrinsic talents and not your upfront personality.
Yes,
if you
absolutely,
did that.
yeah.
Is that a special challenge to show you can do it?
Oh, yes, yeah, I think I have to do a lot of things to prove to myself that that I am still valid as an artist.
Good luck, David. We hope to get you back when you pull off the next
It's
one.
been a great pleasure being here.
Thanks, David.
Bye-bye.
David Bowie, the new David Bowie, and he's just proved himself certainly in Australia with his concert series, which sold out instantly wherever he went. And his new challenge, at least in Australia, will be the release of the film Just a Gigolo, and we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Back with more in just a moment.